That's right. It's a twofer today. Man, brutal day. Brutal. Seriously. It's hard to be upbeat. It's difficult. And I think most people would say I'm pretty optimistic. Very difficult to be such on a day like today. As you can see, we lost 112 basis points today. For those of you who don't know, that's really bad. I'm going to explain it to you. It's not going to be fun. There's not much in the way of good news here. Rates have gone up. There's rates. Now, fortunately, my rates are about 0.25% lower than these, but this is still a good on average tracking link to use. So I always post it in the videos. It's a good place to just check things where you're not going to have a bunch of ads hitting you and stuff like that. But yeah, my rates are about 0.25% or 0.3% lower than these. But still, what you can really track well with this side is just kind of the movement. So rates went up almost 0.25% today on the 30-year fixed, over 0.25% on the 15. 0.25% on the jumbo, an 0.1% on VA, 0.1% on FHA. But I have a feeling that because of the way this data is accumulated, that this is actually going to show worse tomorrow. 112 basis points is a lot, team. I went and basically zoomed this out so that we can see just the whole year so far. So this is from January to today. What are we looking at? Well, what we're looking at is a pretty steep downtrend. Remember, when these prices go down like this, that means rates are going up. What we really want to see is these rallies where, bond prices go higher and therefore rates go lower. But as you can see today, big, ugly red candle over here. For some reason, the side is mirroring it, almost just to shove it in my face. What's up with that, Barry? Simmer down now with your big red candles. 112 basis points is very, very brutal. Very brutal. Not what we were looking for. Not what we were looking for, especially after, getting these two candles right here with like a little bit of bullish wick action. Like, come on, let's at least retest something. Let's have a decent moment. And we got none of that. We got just pure sell-off from the very beginning of the day. We were down 120 at one point. I posted something on Facebook. I never post those things mid to intraday because they changes, and then all of a sudden we were only down 60 and I was like, I'll delete it. Gosh, what am I doing? I guess that's why I don't do that. But sometimes, I think it's important for people to know what the heck is going on. You might be an agent out there who's got a seller who's like being nitpicky on a counter. You see something like that, you go take it, get it a sign. Don't let another day go by. The best day to do that would have been yesterday. That would have been the best day. But here we are. We're now technically in uncharted water. We really are. We are now far enough below this support area here. We just barely retested it and then just shot down lower. It's a bad look. It's a very bad look. Technically, this is a look that tells us that rates are going to continue going higher. This no longer looks like a bear trap. This now is sort of, okay, it's going to get worse. That's what this is saying. This is me being honest with you. It's going to get worse. I hope you locked your loan already. If you didn't, it's going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty. Especially if it's a non-owner occupied loan, second home, a low credit score, conventional loan. We're pricing those out in the 8s. Average rate, though, which, by the way, that did come out today. I'm going to pull that up. I believe it was 6.29. Yeah, 6.29 is the average rate. Let's just throw that over here. So now 6.29, the average rate. Now that's through last week. That does not include this week. So my prediction of 6.5% looks like now it is going to, in fact, happen. We're going to get there next Thursday. This is probably going to be 6.5 or more. And so will that turn out? Will that turn out to be, will I have called it perfectly? Will that be the absolute top? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it right now. Doesn't look like it right now. Here's what's interesting though. Very ugly day, very ugly chart. Nothing good to see here. Nothing to be excited about at all. Same goes for this one. Even if I zoom this in, this is rates going back to the 70s. Let's zoom it in. Doesn't look pretty. We're just on this tear right now that just seems relentless, a relentless tear, similar to the dollar and the relentless tear that the dollar is on. Here's something I want everyone to just take a step back for a quick second and just look at this one here, because I have felt this too. A lot of people inquiring about purchasing real estate, a lot of people getting pre-approved to buy real estate, a lot of people, top of funnel activities are still happening. They're still happening. So it means one of two things. Either people are going to figure out, sellers and buyers are going to find the middle ground and they're going to make transactions happen at these higher rates, or we're going to continue stacking people up in the line for I'll buy when either prices come down or rates come down. So it's not all terrible, but there just isn't anything good to talk about. It's very rare that's the case. By the way, we're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're live on LinkedIn. My sentiments exactly, JCK. OMG indeed. Not good. Not pretty. All right. There's a couple other things that aren't good I'm going to talk to you about, because at the end of the day, if you're counting on me to shoot you straight, I got to show you both sides. Let's see. What was the other thing on here? Average contract interest rate for 30-year fixed rate mortgages, conforming loan balances increases 6.25%. Applications to refinance a home loan, which are usually very sensitive to big rate swings, actually rose 10% for the week. That interesting. Mortgage applications to purchase a home increased 1% for the week. So there's a little uptick in activity, but there's also a huge decline that's coming off of. So you got to kind of, take everything with a grain of salt. FedEx hiking rates, talking about cost cutting. And so the FedEx earnings call wasn't good. There's a couple of things that you can sort of look at for real truth serum macroeconomic stuff. And we're going to talk about both of those here real quick. FedEx is like the global shipping. I know UPS is out there. I know DHL is out there, but FedEx is the one. They're the big one. And they're talking about needing to cut costs. And they're talking about global demand being skimpy and that there's issues there. It's causing them to have to take action. That's not a great sign for global economy. I would say too that the way that dollar is moving is not a great sign either, but even paying more closely attention to this is oil. So oil is on a serious downturn. Now we know there's a lot of inflationary pressure that's still out there. We also know that the dollar is on this tear. It just won't quit going higher. It's just up and up and up and up, doesn't care. But then you have oil on the way down. And this happens. So a couple things. When the dollar is going up, everything that's priced in the dollar goes down, right? Because there's an inverse relationship. So like Bitcoin, for example, the cryptocurrencies are all, how much is Bitcoin worth? Well, it's worth X number of dollars. So you're pricing it in dollars. Same thing with oil. Same thing with stocks. So when the dollar's on a tear like that, it puts a lot of pressure for these things to go lower. But the thing about oil is that it's a very, very big worldwide market, and a lot of things function off of it and can't function without it. So there's a built-in amount of demand there for oil that's always going to be there on a pretty consistent basis. So when oil is trending lower like this, that really lets you know that there's a significant weakness in demand, and that's worldwide. So that is kind of something that I'm really watching closely here. Now, $83 a barrel is not super cheap oil, but just look at the movement here. You remember when we shorted this up in here, right? Got out on the retrace just because the profit was there. I liked it. I was good with it. Had a feeling that this would happen, and I was right. But, this is another one of those situations where if you just held that short, look how pretty we'd be sitting. That's okay. I always take a profit and not worry about it. But at the end of the day, so many things could have happened with the whole Russia thing going on. And I was fine with what I did ultimately. But that said, this is not a great sign for the global economy. This is also not a great sign for the global economy. So, are the bears right? Are they turning out to be right? I still don't understand the weakness, the weak demand for bonds at these levels. But we talked a little bit about that yesterday, and the 4% 2-year bond is pretty sexy for people who want to park cash, especially if you're looking at the dollar just on a tear. It's like I almost titled this video, "Is cash still trash, or has it returned to the throne?" I almost put that because for how many years now people have been telling you cash is trash. Cash is trash. Well, no longer. If you just have to look at what the dollar's done, since it hit a critical support level, the dollar has been on a tear, an absolute tear. It just won't quit. It's going higher and higher and higher since it hit this trend line here. And that means everything priced in dollars is going to go down, which is deflationary, right? You should see that eventually. That's a deflationary activity that we should see somewhere, and we're not. And that's the thing that has me puzzled. But long story short, on interest rates, they've gone up a lot. Today was terrible. It sucked. There's no good news for it. Be prepared for higher rates. Okay, now these rates may not be exactly what you get. If you go through certain lenders, you're going to end up with higher rates than these. If you go through me, for example, you're going to end up with lower rates than these. VA, for example, high fives there with decent credit. And these are all priced based on good credit. High fives for VA, high fives for FHA, for example, low sixes for the 30-year fixed conventional. I just priced out a 5.375 on the 15-year fixed for somebody. So, my rates are lower than these, but if you just look at the trend, the higher trend that you're seeing here, and ultimately, and there's also some cool graphs on here too, which I really like about this site, where you can kind of see like the trends of both the 30 and the 15-year. You can look at different things on that if you want to see, hey, what's historically, how has the the jumbo rate moved, graph wise over time. And you can kind of see how those things. There's some really cool stuff on this website, but at the end of the day, rates have gone up. They've gone up a pretty decent amount. And there isn't really any reason to believe that this won't be the case again tomorrow. I don't have a good reason to tell you, no, we're at a support level. Hey, there's some sort of reason for buyers to step in here. They still could. I hope they do. But I have no reason why they would. I don't have a technical reason here. I don't have an intuition. I don't have an emotional reason. I have no reasons to believe that we're going to rally off of this candle, which means we could see another bad day tomorrow. And that was my big fear yesterday. When we didn't get the pump, we got the Fed hike 3 times in a row. We got the hike and we gained 0.25%. In other words, rates went down 0.25%. Yesterday, it was flat. And that's why I was firing off the warning signal. This isn't right. Something isn't right. Doesn't feel good. Doesn't look good. I don't like it. And then we have this today. There it is. It took me a long time to find that thing. So staying optimistic. Look, if you're in the industry, I'll give you my best advice. If you're in the industry, continue to do the right thing. Continue to do right action. Continue to stay in touch with people. Continue to educate people. Continue to provide value to people. Honesty, integrity, transparency. Stick to it. If you are a buyer, like if a cash buyer seeing this today is going, yeah, baby, get all those finance guys out of my way. I don't want them around. I just want it to be me and the seller. And that's it. So one man's trash, another man's treasure kind of situation. That's always the case. I don't know why my lighting is so weird today. It's like it just can't decide if it's supposed to be blue or do it the right way. And so cash buyers love this. If you are a finance buyer, here's the deal. There's a lot of room to negotiate. Just continue to hawk the market, continue to try to find the right property. If you find the right property and you have to take a slightly higher interest rate than you were hoping for, remember, that's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Long term, within a few years, you're going to be refinancing that home. I can almost guarantee that. If you get the right home and you can get a good deal and you can feel good about the price, Just know that the interest rate is something we always say you marry the property, but you date the rate. And this is the reason why that's an important thing to remember, because you might be able to grab the perfect property. You might be able to completely steal it. You might be able to negotiate all kinds of things with sell the repairs and closing costs, whatever, a great price, all these things right now in this market. This is what it looks like to be in a buyer's market. And when we say a buyer's market, that means that the buyer has negotiation capability. Doesn't necessarily mean that prices are low and rates are low. That's a buyer's market when prices are low and rates are low. It doesn't happen that way. If you wanted prices to come down, you got your wish. Here we are. Now, the way that this works, timing wise, is that buyers will know that rates have impacted them first. It takes a little while for that to go uphill to the sellers. And that can take days, weeks, can take months for sellers to figure out that, hey, rates have really gone up. And that's why I'm not getting activity on my listing. Or I've talked to a lot of agents recently who are like, yeah, we're getting a lot of showings. A lot of people are showing up to open houses. A lot of people are showing the property. We're not getting offers. And I can tell you the problem with that is definitely interest rates. It's 100% interest rates, because if you go and look at a house and then you come back and you go, okay, hey, well, how much do you think we need to offer? Okay, we're going to offer that much. All right. Hey, Mr. Loan Officer, people ask me this question every day. Hey, Derrick, what is the payment on this place if we offer this much? Calculate it. Here's the numbers. What's the reaction I'm getting right now? Holy shit. Wow. That's the kind of reaction I'm getting now. Is that much? Really? Is there any way to lower the payment? Those are the things that people are saying. So, that's where the rubber meets the road. You saw the house, you liked it, you could envision yourself living there. Now we need to find out how much are we going to have to stroke a check for every month. And that number is just not where a lot of people want it to be. It's just not. So it takes a little while for the sellers to realize that. It's good though when rates start to drop, because it also takes a little while for the sellers to realize that. So, when we do turn things around, by then, things like today will have been good, because they will hopefully continue to help to educate sellers that the market can't be manipulated by you anymore. You are not necessarily in charge anymore, at least not 100%. Some cases it's still the case. I saw a buddy of mine sold a property for $30,000 over list today. You can still create a seller's market if you do everything right, but in general, sellers are not going to be in as good a position here. And the further increase in interest rates is going to continue to compromise that. So people who have listings out there that are already a little bit stale, it is time to have a come to Jesus conversation with your seller. Show them this video if you need to, and just let them know, look, hey, the reality is that things are finance-wise are getting more expensive for home buyers. And that unfortunately directly affects how much people are going to be willing to pay for their home. It just does. There's no way around that. Let's see. What's up, LMC? Tis crazy. Oh, here she has a question. Hold on. Think rates will come down by the end of 2023? Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think 2023 is going to be a year where we'll actually have a refinance boom. It'll be later in the year, Q3, Q4, but I think we will have a refi boom in 2023. There's a lot of things to get past here. There's a lot of things to get over. Remember, we haven't really seen inflation data come in too much. We have seen that it's peaked and come down a tiny bit, but we haven't really got a feel-good inflation report yet. So wait till we get one of those and then see what happens with rates. Wait till we get a feel-good inflation report where they go, oh, inflation down from 8% to 5%. Whenever we have one of those, like, hey, things are really happening, progress is happening, we're not really seeing progress. We've made progress. Stopping inflation, which was running away, that is progress. It is. Killing me, this light over here. It's just screwing everything up. Oh, what's going on with my camera? So progress has been made. Stopping that is not an easy thing to do. Inflation is like a forest fire. You have to, you contain it first and then put it out. It's been contained, but it's still burning. So we need to start to see that it's getting smaller, and that's going to take a second. What's up, Rachel? True story. Not a good one. It's not a good one. Not a good one. Here's what we need to do today. Besides pray, we need to just brace ourselves for potentially things getting worse in the coming weeks and months. And when I say worse, I mean higher rates, more difficult, longer market times potentially, more difficult situations for home sellers, more expensive situations for home buyers. Typically, in an environment like this where things are starting to look like we're going to do a flip and go full buyer market, when things start to look that way, that is usually the beginning of the bottoming process, if not the bottoming process itself. And so we could have a situation where we just go sideways right here. And that would actually be a win. In other words, instead of having another big red cascading candle down, we could just go sideways here for a while. And we will take that. We will take sideways movement. But it just doesn't look like that's what's going to happen, guys. Doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. All we can do is all we can do. Let's continue to work hard. Let's continue to provide value. Let's continue to educate. Let's continue to look for deals. Let's continue to look for ways to save money. And let's make sure that we're not overpaying for home loans. My goodness, at these rates, shouldn't be overpaying. But believe it or not, this is actually a perfect environment for the people. I need to come up with for the sharks. I don't like the word scammers. It doesn't even do it justice. For the sharks, this is a good environment for the sharks to sell people on super high rates, because people are hearing, oh, well, rates have gone up, rates have gone up, rates have gone up. So if someone is selling a high rate or a high cost loan, this is a good time for them to sell it, because people go, yeah, I did see that on the news. Yeah, rates have gone up. So it actually makes it easier for some of these sharks to steal your money. Do not let that happen. Do not let them take your money. Do not let them take your friends' money. Do not let them take your family's money. Contact me, get a free quote, email, call, text. I'm coming up with a cooler, slicker way to do this right now, by the way. I'm having something built that's really, really neat. We're designing it from scratch, coding the whole thing. But as of right now, you just send me an email, shoot me a text. I need a couple pieces of information. Say, hey, I need a quote. Okay, cool. I'll let you know what you need. And if Dave is watching out there, the duct tape is not real, but it does look real. And that's by design, to answer your question from yesterday. So don't let your friends get ripped off. Do not allow yourself to be ripped off. Make sure you are at least getting a second opinion. And if your second opinion looks like the first opinion, get another one. Okay? Because if sometimes people go, well, I checked with Navy Fed and then I went to USAA. Okay, well, you just got two of the same quotes. You basically got quoted from, two banks that are virtually the same across the board. So if you get two quotes and they're the same, don't think that means, okay, this is what the deal is. Get a third one. I'm happy to be that for you. Happy to help you out. I'm here for you. Got time on my hands. Take advantage. Have a good night, team.